Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about what a manager really does all day? It can seem pretty complicated, right? Well, today we're going to simplify it all using this really cool, really powerful metaphor. We're going to look at management as a hand, where every single finger plays a crucial role.
This is the big idea that's going to guide us through our whole chat today. It frames management not as some dry list of tasks, but as this living, breathing system. Just like your hand. All the fingers have to work together if you actually want to grab onto something.
All right, so let's get to know these 5 fingers one by one. We're going to dive into planning, organizing, staffing, coordinating, and controlling. We'll see what each one does and, more importantly, how they all fit together. Okay, let's start with the thumb. This is planning, and it is absolutely foundational. I mean, think about it. You can't really grip anything without your thumb, right? It's the same for a company. Without a solid plan, you're just not going to get anywhere. It's all about looking ahead, setting those big goals, and then figuring out the roadmap to get there. Now, what's super interesting about planning is that it's not just one thing. It happens on different levels. You've got the huge long-term vision. That's your strategic plan. Then you break that down into what each department needs to do. That's tactical. And then you have the day-to-day, what's on the to-do list for today. That's your operational plan. It all stacks together. And this quote from Ayarov just hits the nail on the head. We've all been there, haven't we? That feeling of pure chaos, of everything being rushed and frantic. That's what happens when planning fails. It's the perfect example of why that thumb is so important. All right, moving on to the next finger, the index finger. This is organizing. So you've got your plan. Great. Now what? You need a structure to make it happen. Organizing is all about building that structure. It's about defining who does what and literally pointing everyone in the right direction. You know, every company basically has 2 structures working at the same time. There's the formal one, the official org chart, the policies, who reports to who. But then there's the informal one, the friendships, the social circles, the people who know how to really get things done. The formal chart tells you who has the title, but that informal network, that's where real influence often is. And a great manager knows how to work with both. And inside that structure, you find this critical balancing act, authority and responsibility. I mean, think about it. If you give someone the responsibility to do a job, but no authority to make any decisions, well, that's just setting them up for failure. And giving someone authority with no responsibility? Whoa, that's just plain dangerous. The two have to go hand in hand, always. Now for the one right in the center of the hand, the middle finger, staffing. At the end of the day, this is all about the people. You could have the most genius plan in the world and a perfect organizational chart, but if you don't have the right people in the right seats, none of it matters. It is absolutely central to everything. And staffing isn't just about hiring somebody. Not at all. It's this whole cycle. You start by figuring out what skills you even need. Then you recruit and train, and it keeps going with performance reviews and helping your people grow in their careers. It's a continuous process of building and nurturing your team. Here's another fantastic insight from Arav. I think we can all relate to this one, right? Being stuck in that awful group project where you had no say in who was on your team. Well, good staffing is the complete opposite of that. It is the very deliberate, intentional process of building a team that's meant to win. Our next finger is the ring finger, and it's the perfect symbol for coordination. Think about it. The ring finger is all about unity. Coordination is that invisible magic that weaves all the different people and departments together, making sure everyone is rowing in the same direction together. I absolutely love this analogy for Mira. A wedding, right? You've got the caterer, the DJ, the photographer. They're all doing their own thing. But for the whole day to be a success, everything has to be perfectly synchronized. That is coordination in a nutshell. And honestly, you usually only notice it when it's gone. And that brings us to our last finger, the little finger, controlling. Now, it might look small, but don't underestimate it. It is incredibly powerful. This is your feedback loop. It's how you check your progress against the original plan and make those little corrections to get back on track. It's how we get better over time. This is such a huge point. That word, control, it can sound kind of harsh, can it? But as Mira points out, it's not about punishment. It's about guidance. It's looking at the numbers and asking, okay, what did we learn and how can we nail this next time? So there we have it, our 5 fingers. But how do they know what to do? How do they work as one? Well, they're connected by a nervous system. And in the world of management, that nervous system has a name: communication. On the surface,
Communication seems pretty simple, doesn't it? A 5-step process. But as we all know from, well, living life, simple does not mean easy. Getting an idea from my brain to your brain totally intact is one of the biggest challenges there is.
And that's because the whole process is just loaded with potential roadblocks. You've got actual noise, like a construction site, or mental noise, like being super stressed out. You have confusing jargon, powerful emotions, and all of our own assumptions getting in the way. A huge part of being a good manager is learning how to navigate all of these barriers. And that all leads to this simple, powerful idea. Clarity is kindness. Seriously, the kindest, most respectful thing you can do for someone is to be crystal clear. It avoids confusion, it prevents mistakes, and it builds an incredible amount of trust. Okay, so we have the hand and we have its nervous system, but what's telling the whole thing what to do? You need the brain behind the hand, and that is decision-making. Really good decisions don't just appear out of thin air. They usually follow a logical path, kind of like this one. It's a structured way to think, to move from, uh-oh, we have a problem, all the way to, okay, let's review how that choice worked out. It makes sure you learn something from every single decision. And hey, managers aren't just winging it. They have tools to help. For instance, a SWOT analysis is just a fantastic way to see your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats all laid out in one place. These kinds of techniques bring real data and structure to what can sometimes just feel like a gut decision. Let's start to wrap up with this really profound thought. At the end of the day, a decision isn't just about logic. It's a statement. Every choice you make, whether you're a CEO or just deciding what to do this weekend, tells a story about what's actually important to you. So, as we finish up here, I want to leave you with this one question to chew on. Now that you've seen the whole framework, the hand, the nervous system, the brain, think about the choices you're making every day. What story are your decisions telling about what you truly value?